In the bustling gymnasium, a sea of blue graduation gowns rippled with excitement. Families cheered, cameras flashed, and the air buzzed with the promise of new beginnings. But for Leo, a knot of anxiety tightened in his stomach. He was a quiet boy, always had been, and his 4 years at Northwood High had been a masterclass in trying to be invisible. He was the kid who always had his nose in a book, the one who ate lunch alone in the library, the one whose silence was often mistaken for weakness. And for 4 long years, Mark and his friends had made it their mission to exploit that perceived weakness. It started with small things, a trip in the hallway, a lost textbook, whispers that followed him like a shadow. Then it escalated. They'd corner him, their laughter echoing louder than any of his silent pleas. "What's wrong, Leo? Cat got your tongue?" Mark would snare, his face inches from Leo's. "Or are you just too dumb to speak?" The irony was, Leo was anything but dumb. He was brilliant. His mind was a universe of complex equations, historical timelines, and literary worlds. While they were out partying, he was building circuits in his garage, coding late into the night, and devouring books on quantum physics for fun. But he never said a word. He never fought back. He just endured, holding on to the hope that graduation would be his escape, his finish line. He adjusted his cap, the tassel tickling his cheek. He scanned the crowd, spotting his mom. She was waving a small banner with his name on it, her smile so bright it could have powered the whole school. She had no idea about the daily torment. He'd made sure of it, swallowing his pain to protect her from worry. Seeing her there, so proud, gave him a flicker of strength. Just a few more hours, he told himself. Mark, a few rows ahead, turned and caught Leo's eye. He smirked, then made a gesture as if zipping his lips and throwing away the key. His friends snickered. The familiar heat of shame washed over Leo. But this time, something else mingled with Ita's spark of defiance. Today was different. The ceremony began. Names were called, one by one, each followed by a burst of applause. Jessica Abernathy, David Yichun, Maria Garcia. Leo's heart pounded against his ribs, a frantic drumbeat counting down the seconds. The principal, Mr. Thompson, stepped up to the podium, and now, he announced, his voice booming through the speakers, "It is with great honor that I introduce this year's valedictorian." A hush fell over the gymnasium. Everyone knew Mark was a top student. He was popular, athletic, and academically strong. He preened in his seat, ready for his moment of glory. He was already picturing the headline. Mark Riley, star athlete, crowned valedictorian. He glanced back at Leo one more time, a final, triumphant smirk on his face. This would be the ultimate proof of his superiority. Mr. Thompson continued, "This student has not only achieved the highest grade point average in the school's history, a perfect 4.0, but has done so while taking the most rigorous advanced placement courses we offer. Their dedication is truly unparalleled." Mark's smile widened. This was it. This year's valedictorian, Mr. Thompson paused for dramatic effect, is Leo Johnson. The name hung in the air for a split second before the silence was shattered, not by applause, but by a collective, audible gasp. Heads whipped around, searching for the quiet boy who never spoke. Mark's face went slack, his smug expression melting into disbelief, then confusion, and finally, a deep, burning humiliation. It couldn't be. Not him. Not the silent nobody. Leo's mom let out a joyful cry, her banner shaking in her hands. Slowly, as if waking from a dream, Leo stood up. Every eye in the gymnasium was on him. The whispers started, a tidal wave of shock and curiosity. Leo. Who's Leo? The quiet kid from AP Physics. No way. As Leo made his way to the stage, each step felt heavy, deliberate. He passed Mark's row. Their eyes met. For the first time, Leo didn't look away. He saw not a fearsome bully, but a small, pathetic boy whose world had just been turned upside down. There was no triumph in Leo's gaze, only a quiet, unshakable confidence. He reached the podium and adjusted the microphone. His hands were steady. He looked out at the crowd, at the hundreds of faces staring back at him, waiting. He saw his mom, tears of pride streaming down her face. He took a deep breath. "They say silence is golden," Leo began, his voice clear and strong, resonating through the gymnasium. It was the first time most of his classmates had ever heard him speak more than a single word. And for a long time, I believed that. I thought if I stayed quiet, if I made myself small, I could get by. I used my silence as a shield. He paused, letting his words sink in. But a shield can also be a cage. It can stop you from connecting, from sharing what's inside. And it can make people think there's nothing there. They see an empty space and try to fill it with their own noise, their own judgments, their own cruelty. He didn't look at Mark, but everyone knew who he was talking about. You could feel the tension in the air. Mark was frozen, his face a mask of rage and shame. While I was silent, Leo continued, his voice gaining power. I was listening. I was learning. I was building. I wasn't just studying for tests. I was studying the world, figuring out my place in it, and I was building something for my future. He looked directly at the principal. Mr. Thompson mentioned my academic achievements, but what he doesn't know is what I was doing outside of school. Another wave of murmurs swept the room. For the past 2 years, Leo announced, I've been working on a new type of AI-driven software to help nonverbal students communicate more effectively. I started it because I understood what it felt like to have a voice but not be able to use it. The gasps were even louder this time. This went far beyond just getting good grades. 3 months ago, Leo's voice was steady. I was offered a full scholarship to MIT, but I turned it down. Chaos. A full ride to MIT. Turned down. It was unthinkable. I turned it down, Leo explained, because a week later, a major tech company acquired my software. As of this morning, the deal is final. He looked out at the stunned faces, his gaze sweeping over his classmates, his teachers, and finally, landing once more on his mother, who was now openly sobbing with joy. So today, I graduate not just from Northwood High, but I graduate from silence. To anyone out there who feels invisible, who feels like their voice doesn't matter, know this. Your time is not wasted. While others are making noise, you can be building an empire. Your work, your passion, your mind, that is your true voice. And when you're finally ready to speak, it will be so powerful. It will shake the entire world. He finished. As for my future, I won't be attending college this fall. Instead, I'll be moving to California to lead my own research and development team as the youngest CEO in the company's history. The gymnasium erupted, a thunderous, roaring standing ovation that seemed to shake the very foundations of the building. It wasn't just polite clapping. It was a genuine, overwhelming wave of respect and awe. Students who had never given Leo a second glance were now on their feet, cheering for him. Leo simply smiled, a genuine, brilliant smile that reached his eyes. He picked up his diploma, gave a nod to the crowd, and walked off the stage, leaving behind a legacy that no one would ever forget. He walked past Mark, who was still sitting, pale and small, utterly defeated. Leo didn't say a word. He didn't have to. His success was the final, devastating comeback, an announcement that had finally and forever ended it all. Thanks for watching.